Joining us. As you know, this is footage that your committee decided not to release. So what's your reaction to the Speaker, Speaker Johnson, deciding to do so, and why do you think he's doing it?
Well, on the latter question, Speaker Johnson is clearly on the run from the MAGA, the extreme MAGA caucus, Chip Roy, and the strongest pro-Trump elements. I mean, you know, he was only able to get through his continuing resolution proposal because of Democratic votes. And I think they're saying he's got 2 strikes of 3 they're going to give him. So he's already looking at a motion to vacate. So this was clearly an effort to placate the right wing, which has been making this absurd demand for a very long time. And so now we have, on a totally unilateral partisan basis, the Republicans caving in and, opening up to the world what they allowed Tucker Carlson to come see. Obviously, Tucker Carlson did his best to...
Yes, welcome back. Recently, Democrat Fumes After Gop speaker releasing January 6th tapes declare they are a national security threat. I don't know if you have seen this. I have a couple of videos I'm going to play so you can see exactly what is going on. According to this tweet, Utah Republican Senator Mike Lee is calling for an investigation into the now defunct House January 6th committee, accusing former and current lawmaker who served on the committee of deliberately hiding some of the footage from the Capitol riot. That is what is going on. I watched some of these clips and comparing to what we saw, a total different thing. They actually put this hidden so people should not know, so they can pass out their narrative. When you look at how they are filming here, it is to clearly tell you how panicking he can be. So on this clip, we are going to take an exclusive look into all this.
So now we have, on a totally unilateral partisan basis, the Republicans caving in and, opening up to the world what they allowed Tucker Carlson to come see. Obviously, Tucker Carlson did his best to torture out of tens of thousands of hours of footage some kind of concocted story, which of course went nowhere. We went through all of that. We had more than 1,000 witnesses come and talk to the January 6th committee, all of it on a bipartisan basis in search of the truth, not in search of lies. And most of the witnesses, of course, were Republicans, people in the Trump administration, people in the Trump family, and we delivered a complete report. Beyond the partisan nature of it, it's truly a security risk what they're doing. The reason why the Capitol Police have opposed releasing tens of thousands of hours from every House office building, every Senate office building, every part of the Capitol is because it's like giving a diagram to future insurrectionists and terrorists and anybody who wants to invade our body. So if the Speaker thinks it can be done safely or securely, why doesn't he rely on the Capitol Police to determine what should be given out and what shouldn't be given out? Because that's the principal concern here, which is security.
Yes, when I take a look at some of the footages, comparing to how they sounded, you will see how these people are manipulative. There was clearly not something very big like the way they said it during that committees. When you look at how he's sounding here, it is like you have been caught up. You are now looking for a possible way, to go through. That is it.
Just so I understand essentially these words, right? So on the one hand, what is happening is that we're wrestling with this idea that anyone that is engaged in an insurrection is barred from office, with the exception of the president.
I don't think that's what our founders intended.
Okay. Please explain.
The language of the 14th Amendment says anyone, any officer, military or civil. And the president is both a civil officer of the United States and the military commander in chief. So he falls into both those categories. So the argument that he is not an officer and that there's a difference between his oath and the oath that a senator takes is a difference without distinction. The difference between protect and support doesn't make any sense to me. Of course, protect is even a higher burden. And if the president has to protect the Constitution, he also has to support it. So I think that her decision is wrong on the law. Of course, on the facts, she's right. And she made a factual finding that he is an insurrectionist. And that would bar him if he were an officer. And I believe that any higher court will find that it was the intent to bar such a person from holding the office of president, and that he will be barred.
This is still a meltdown pertaining to Trump. Colorado judge find Trump engaged in but reject constitutional ballot challenge, and Libras are not finding this funny. Do you know the funniest thing? This is a Democrat. I don't know why they are now, because she went against their narrative, they are calling this person names. A Colorado judge on Friday found that former President Donald Trump engaged in during the January 6, 2021 attack on the U.S. Capitol, but rejected an effort to keep him off the state primary ballot because it is unclear whether a civil war area constitutional amendment barring from public office applies to the presidency. Okay. These are legal scholars, coming up on the different platforms, marching down. Sometimes when I see how these people are bringing this amendment into this very serious. Yes, the lawsuit brought by a left-leaning group on behalf of a group of Republican and independent Colorado voters contended that Trump actions related to the attack ran afoul of a clause in the 14th Amendment that prevents anyone from holding office who engage in or rebellion against the Constitution. The decision by District Judge Sarah Wallace is the third ruling in a little over a week against lawsuit seeking to knock Trump off the ballot by citing Section 3 of the amendment. The Minnesota Supreme Court last week said Trump could remain on the primary ballot because political parties have sole choice over who appears, while a Michigan judge ruled that Congress is the proper forum for deciding whether Section 3 applies to Trump. The Congress did not succeed to remove Trump. They now extended to these different states taking of a decision to bar him. Now it is not working out. The meltdown is not stopping. Trump at the rally, I think watching Trump made it clear they have been trying for a long time to do this, but they are still not succeeding. They are not giving up. The people should decide who they want, not 5 individuals. In her decision, Wallace said they found that Trump did in fact engage on January 6 and rejected his attorney argument that he was simply engaging in free speech. Normally, that would be enough to disqualify him under Section 3, but she said she could not do so for a presidential candidate. Section 3 does not specifically refer to the presidency, and it does member of the U.S. Senate or House of Representatives. Instead, the clause refers to elector of president and vice president along with civil and military officers. Part of the court decision is the reluctance to embrace an interpretation which would disqualify a presidential candidate without a clear or mistakenly indication that such is the intent of Section 3.